Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to today's Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita Shloka recitation session. So we'll begin now. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are going to recite from Bhagavad Gita, chapters 4, 5, and 6. The rest of the week we'll be reciting from chapters 4, 5, and 6, the memorization shlokas. So I just call on each person to unmute when they are reciting, just to make it more interesting. But if you don't want to recite, it's okay. You can just let me know. If you want to recite, you let me know, then I will call on you also. Otherwise, those who are already reciting, I will call on them. Okay. So Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 text 1, and meanwhile everyone recite together, keeping yourself in mute. So the person that I call on, that person will unmute so that there's no static, right? There's one voice heard, but everyone is reciting, staying unmute. So if you are reciting, then you just let me know. I will call on you also. Okay. So we'll start with 4-1. Who wants to go first? Rasapriya wants to go. Okay. Sri Bhagavan
The personality of Godhead said, Lord Sri Krishna said, I have instructed this impossible science of yoga to ascend God Vivasana. And Vivasana instructed the father of yoga, and Manu in turn instructed its father. From Parampara Prantam in Maharaja's Sakalena Mata in the Supreme Science was thus received to the theory of physical succession, and the saintly gains are illustrated in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and the science would be Sarvayam Maya Devya Yoga Prokta Param Tatana Bhakta Simen Sakatveni that very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme should be told by me to you, because you are very devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mysteries of this science. 4-5. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Gahuni Mengatita Dhamani Tavacharachana Sanyakam Veda Sarvani The personality of God is said, many, many words, both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot. Also, pure of the enemy. 26. And so he is son of Yayato, who Dana Nesoro, his son. Prophet and son of the star, Sambhavamya Tamaraya. Although I am unborn, my transcendental body never deteriorates. And although I am the Lord of all living beings, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. Verse 7. यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत तद्व्युत्थानधर्मस्य धर्मज्ञानं सृजाम्यति. Whenever I hear O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. For it, Paratranaya sadhana, Vinasaya Janasmitam, Dharma Samstapaya, Samphavam, to deliver the pious, as well as re-establish the principle of religion. I myself appear a millennium of humility. 49. Sarma Karma Chandra Evam Yoveti Dharmata Teva Derha Puna Janma Meti Mameti Sorjana. One who knows your transcendental needs of my appearance and activities is not upon leaving the body, take birth, take accidents, but attains the eternal abode, or earth. Vidaraga Bhaya Krodha being freed from attachment and being free of harm at me, and taking refuge in me. Many persons in the past, taking refuge like when and that's the all these transcendental of me.
Yes, for yes, I'm Papadyante, Tanskateva Bhajamyam, Manavadante, Nusya Partha Sarvasaha. The gods surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pratha. 413. Sattvaram Gunaparma Tasya Kartaramapinam Vidyakartaramavjayam. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me, and although I am the creator of the system, you should know that I am the non-doer, being unchangeable. Tadvidhi panipatena paripasnena sevaya upadeksanti te jnanam jnanina sarvadashinaha. Describing the truth by a spiritual master, far from submissively and underserves the being. The spiritual souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusions. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. Apicayasipapabhya sarvebhya papakrittamah sarvajnanapanireta buddhamsantavishyasi. Even if you are considered to be the most simple of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. 438. नहि ज्ञानेन सदृशं पवित्रं न विद्यते तत्स्वयं कालेनात्मनि विन्दति. In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism. And one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service employs this knowledge within himself in due course of time. Agyasya samshayatma vinashyati nāyo kostina parao nasakam samsayadvanaha. But ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For the doubting soul, there is neither happiness neither in this world nor in the next. Tasmāt ajnana sambhutam iksam yamasi nakumanah Chitvainam samshayam yogam atishta bharata. Therefore the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, Mahabharata, stand and fight.
5.2 Sri Bhagavan Sannyasa Karma Yogasya Nishreyasa Kalabudha Tayostu Karma Sannyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate. The personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. 5.6 Sannyasastu mahabaho dukkham aptum ayogataha yoga yukto munir brahma nacharena digachati. Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord, cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person, engaged in devotional service, can achieve the supreme without delay. 5.7 Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriyaha sarva bhutatma bhutatma kurvannapi na lipyate. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. 5.10 Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyatena sapapena padmapatram imamhasa. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. 5.16 Jnanena tu tadajnanam yesham nashitamatmanah tesham aditya vajnanam prakashayati tatparam. When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. 5.18 Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shani Chaiva Shvapake Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater, outcasts. 5.20 Na praharashyet priyam prapya no dvijet prapya cha priyam sthira buddhir asamurho brahmavid brahmanistaha. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant, nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence. 5.22 Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkhayonaya evate adyantavantah kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. 524. Yonta Sukhantaramas Tathantar Jyotire Vayaha Sayogi Brahma Nirvanam Brahma Bhuto Digachati. One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme. 529. Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhradam Sarvabhutanam Yatva Mam Shantam Rachati. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries.
6.1 Sri Bhagavan Vacha Anashrita Karma Palam Karyam Karma Karotiyaha Sasanyasi Chayogi Cha Naniragnirna Chakriya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. 6.5 Uddharet Atmanatmanam Natmanam Avashadhayet Atmaiva Yatmano Paliho Atmaiva Napuratmanaha. One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. 6.6 Bandhor Atmatmanastasya Ninatmaivatmana Jitaha Anatmanastu Shatrutve Varte Tatmaiva Shatruvat. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. 6.7 Jitatmana Pashantasya Paramatma Samahitaha Shitoshna Sukhadukheshu Tatha Mana Pamanayo. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. 6.8 Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutastho Vijitendriyaha Yukta Ityuchate Yogi Samaloshrashma Kanchana. A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same. 6.17 6.16 Natyashnatastu yogosti nachaikantam anashnataha nachati swapnashilasya jagato neva charjuna. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi, O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. 6.17 Yuktahara viharasya yuktacheshtasya karmasu yuktasvapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkhaha. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. 619 Yatha dipo nivatasto lingate sopamasmita yogi bhavitachittasya yunjato yogamatmanaha. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist, whose mind is controlled, remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent sun.
Would anyone else like to unmute? If not, I'll go back to the same cycle. Okay, so we'll just go back. So who started first? Rasapriya. Start.
6, 22, 23.
20.
Yatra Paramagayachitra, Nirodham Yoga Seva, Yatra Deva, Sabhabhadyam Vikam Yata, Vadvibhavyam Vadvibhavyam, Viti Yatra, Vayam, Prasthati, Yam Vasa Varam, Yam Yes, let's return. Hello, Purana Vedica. Without the person, yoga. It is phase of perfection for grants of samadhi. One's mind is completely free from the material of the activities. By practicing this is by one's he is the whole mind, and this lies in the self. That means the state. One is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of the greatest difficulty. This indeed is not his freedom from all material contact. 624. Sadastaya Yoga the status. So we go once it is yoga, with the permanency and being from wherever the mind wants, they do spoken and steady, and much living bring it to system.
Manasamhyanam yoginam sukhamuttamam apayati santarasam brahma bhutva akamasam. Every whose mind is fixed on me finally attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the from to past deeds. 629. Sarvabhutatmanatmanam Sarvabhutani Tatmani Ishate Yogatma Sarvatra Samadarshana. A true yogi takes me in all these and also sees everything in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same as being everywhere. 230. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvabhutani pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami satamena na pranasyati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am no loss to him, nor is he a loss to me. 634. Chanchalahi mana krishna pramati bhavadridam tasyaham vigraham manye vayurvasadusparam. For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think it is more difficult than controlling it. 655. Sri Bhagavan Varta Samshambaho Manodur Vigraham Cham Asamshayana Tukunteya Vairayukarite. Lord Sri Krishna said, O my dear son of Kunti, It is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible with reasonable practice and by detachment.
640. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Arthanaiveha Namudra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Kashchil Durgatim Tata Gachati. The Supreme Personality of God Himself, Son of Pritha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities, does not meet with destruction, either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. 641. Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashvati samaha shuchirnam shrimata yehe yoga prashto abhijayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people, or into a family of rich aristocracy. 642. Athava yogi nan eva kule bhavati dhimata yetadhi durlabhataram loke janmaya idrisham. Or if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such a birth is rare in this world. 33. Tatratam buddhi samyogam labhate paurvadehikam yadate jatato bhuyaha samsiddho guru nandana. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru.
644. Purvabhyasena tenaiva priyate hyavashopi saha jigyasur api yogasya shabda brahmati vartate. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. 645. Prayatnadyatamaanastu yogi samshuddha kilbhashah aneka janma samsiddhas tato yati param gatim. And when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. 647. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam samyukta tamo mataha. And of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all. That is my opinion.
Hare Krishna. So let's read Mahabharata now. Yesterday we read in Mahabharata that the Virata soldiers had won the battle against Susharma. Susharma had attacked the Virata city to take away the cows. And Virata, with the help of King Virata, with the help of the four Pandavas, that is, except for Arjun, the remaining four, sorry, he, um, uh, one second, one second, Mahabharata, okay. So he um, uh, won the battle, right? He defeated Susharma. King Virata defeated Susharma. Actually, it was the Pandavas, it was Bhimsen who finally arrested. So that was over, and now that night they're all celebrating. So the next morning, at dawn, early the next morning, uh, Duryodhan attacked the city of Virata on the opposite side. So the entire army of Virata, along with the four Pandavas, was on one side of the city. So that's where the battle with Susharma had taken place. So they spent the night there, and early in the morning, Duryodhan attacks from the other end when they're not prepared for battle. And he's also taking the cows and going away. So this time the cows were on that side. Okay. So now there was Bhuminjaya, the eldest son of Virata in the kingdom. And temporarily, in the absence of his father, he was sitting on the throne. So the cowherds, when they realized what was going on, they went to Bhuminjaya asking him to help them. Hmm? Your father told us, he's always glorifying you as a great Kshatriya warrior, and you are just like Arjun. Please now come and save us, like that. So, Bhuminjaya also, now he's surrounded by ladies. All men are gone, isn't it? They went for the battle with Susharma. So he's surrounded by all these ladies, and he's just making an impression on them how he's so great. Yes, yes, I will come and I will fight and I will defeat the entire Kuru army. So the entire Kuru army was there. Bhishma Dev, Karna, everyone was there. Duryodhan and his brothers. So I will come and defeat all of them in battle. But I don't have a chariot driver. My chariot driver, was killed recently, or I lost my chariot driver somehow. So, huh? So now I'm in need of a chariot driver. So you find one chariot driver, and then I will go into the battle and fight. And Draupadi was there as Sairendri listening. So she couldn't tolerate uh, Bhuminjaya uh, quoting and comparing with Arjun again and again. Like, I'm like Arjun, I'm going to fight, I'm going to defeat like Arjun. So she said that there is a very good chariot driver here. Brihannala, she used to drive the chariot of Arjun. In fact, she was the one who drove Arjun's chariot when he defeated the Devatas in the Khandava forest. She said that. So, if you take, so for, at first, Bhuminjaya said, Brihannala, a eunuch. I'm going to take a eunuch as my chariot driver, like that. And then Draupadi said, no, Brihannala is a great sign of victory. If she drove your chariot, you will certainly be victorious, like that. So then, uh, actually, even before this happened, the news reached Arjun. Before this whole thing happened, when the cowherds came and they were praying to Bhuminjaya, Arjun got the news. So Arjun approached Sairendri and said, you go and tell Bhuminjaya that Brihannala knows how to drive the chariot. Because Arjun was very happy to get the opportunity to fight with Duryodhan. He had been holding back all these years, isn't it? Now they're standing on the battlefield. He wanted to go and fight. So he said, you go and tell Bhuminjaya that Brihannala is. So that's how Draupadi as Sairendri came, and she was telling Bhuminjaya, you should take Brihannala. So then, kind of reluctantly, Bhuminjaya said, okay, you go and tell Brihannala that I'm calling. So Draupadi went and she told, and then actually not Draupadi, Uttara. Uttara went and said, my brother, first of all, she went and said, the Kurus have attacked the Virata city, and my brave brother, the chivalrous Bhuminjaya, is going to face the entire Kuru army and he's going to defeat them, and he's calling you to drive his chariot. So then Brihannala came right quickly, and following behind was Uttara. And when they came in the court, Arjun in his as a dance master, right? He had this braid. He was looking at his braid and playing with this braid. And then when Bhuminjaya said, "I want you to drive my chariot," Arjun says that uh, you're calling me to drive the chariot. If it were some entertainment by dance or music, I could have done. How am I going to drive the chariot like that? And so Bhuminjay said, nothing doing. You have to go like that. And then, kind of forcibly, he said, get the armor. And then he gave the armor to Arjun, and Arjun pretended, as Brihanala, pretended like he couldn't even figure out how to put the armor on. he dropped the armor, and everyone else tied it on him like that. And then the chariot came, and Arjun was made to sit on the chariot as the chariot driver. Bhuminjaya got on, and then when they were about to leave, all the ladies are saying, "Oh, Brihandala, certainly this Bhuminjaya is going to defeat." So when the Kauravas are defeated, get their upper cloth, right? Get their cloth, upper cloth for us, all different colored cloths for our dolls. So, as Brihandala, Arjun said, "Yes, I will certainly get that for you." And they went off. And they went into the battlefield, and from a distance, right, from a distance, Bhuminjaya saw the army of the Kurus. My God, it was like an ocean, a big ocean. And he had never seen such a big army in his life. What to speak of fighting with them, and that too single handedly. He started trembling, shaking in fear. And in fact, he started crying loudly. He was wailing, you know. And then he said, "Oh, Brihanala, turn around. Let's go back." And Brihanala said, "What happened to all that boastful words that you said in front of the ladies? That you're going to defeat all Karna and Bhishma and you're going to send them back? Now what happened?" So Hominja said, "No, no, no, no. I cannot face them. I won't even live. If I live, that's when I can do something, right? Take me back home." So, and then he said, "I don't care if my father chastises me." Arjun said, "All the ladies are going to laugh at you. It will be so embarrassing. He said, would you like that?" And he says, "I don't care if the ladies laugh at me. I don't care. My father will chastise me. Brihanala, I will give you, so many gold coins. I will give you a nice chariot. I'll give you so many things. Please take me back, take me back." And Brihanala says, "No way. Hmm? I also promised. I promised the ladies that I will bring the cloth, right, of the defeated Kuru soldiers. I cannot go back on my word. I'm not returning. I will only go after fighting." And then this Bhuminja saw that this Brihanala is not going to stop. So he just jumped off the chariot and started running in the opposite direction. And Arjun turned back and he started calling, trying to inspire him. "What is this? This is not a Kshatriya. A Kshatriya should not be fearful in battle. He should go and bravely fight." Like that. He was not going to stop nor even turn around. He was just running for his life, Bhuminja. So Arjun jumped off the chariot and started running behind this Bhuminjaya. And the whole scene was being seen by the Kurus on the other side. And they saw, "Who is this strange personality? He looks like an elephant. His body is so well built and he's running, but he's dressed in this way, with all silks, gaudy clothes, like a eunuch. And he has this braid. When he's running, his braid is going back and forth like a woman's." And then they're thinking, but they all suspected, you know, from his uh, appearance, right? His body, the formation of his body, from the way he walked, and just his confidence, right? His confidence in facing the entire Kuru army. Who could have that type of courage to come without any army, just single, one person coming to fight with the whole Kuru army? Who else could have this type of courage? This must be Arjun. So this was the talk going on amongst the Kuru leaders, Dronacharya, Bhishma Dev, and Duryodhan, Karna. Duryodhan, when he heard that this could be Arjun, he actually was smiling. The others were quite concerned. If this is Arjun, he has defeated single-handedly all the Devatas in Khandava Prastha. He has defeated the Nivata Kavachas and Kalakanya single-handedly. He is capable of, the Gandharvas he defeated. So what is this Kuru army for him? So we are in a very difficult situation. Meanwhile, Duryodhan in his typical arrogant way, he was kind of insulting Dronacharya. He was saying that we cannot trust this Dronacharya because he is too uh, partial to the Pandavas, like that. Then Ashwatthama got all angry. So then Ashwatthama chastised Duryodhan, right? Saying that basically he was chastising. Then Bhishma Dev, seeing this whole thing, he said actually he saw that the greatest problem is when the people within one organization start fighting amongst themselves. That's when they become weak in front of the enemy. So, whatever it is, if this is Arjun, then there is a grave difficulty in front of the Kurus. He's not going to stop fighting, he's going to fight. And for them to face Arjun, Kripacharya also spoke, by the way. For them to face Arjun, they all needed to be united. So Bhishmadev pacified everyone. He agreed with what Karna said. He agreed with what Duryodhan said. He agreed with what Ashwatthama said. And finally, bringing all together, he said, now the problem is we have to fight with Arjun. So they all agreed. So let's fight like that. And now Arjun went and literally caught this Bhuminjaya and then literally dragged him back onto the chariot and he said, if you are too afraid and if you are not going to fight, then you drive the chariot. I will face the Kurus. But there's no question of going back. So he made him, he just dragged him back and made him sit on the chariot as a chariot driver. And then he was still trembling, this Bhuminjaya. But uh, then Arjun said, at least he didn't have to fight, right? He was shaking. So he said, okay. They were near that crematorium where the Pandavas had tied their weapons on the tree, Sami tree. So Arjun told Bhuminjaya to drive the chariot to that tree in the crematorium. So now they were out of sight from the Kauravas. So after going there, he made him climb and bring back that bundle. So he had some, objection. Bhuminjaya, this is what everyone knew. They thought this is a dead body. That's what Yudhishthir had said. So he said, that's a dead body. I am a prince. You want me to touch a dead body? And Arjun said, no, it's not a dead body. I would never make you do anything which is irreligious or anything which would, make you lose your position. It's not a dead body. Bring it down. And when he brought down, then he had him cut, right, the knot and open that uh, I think it was a tree bark cloth. And then they saw all these weapons and they were so brilliant. And then Bhuminjaya asked, whose weapons are these? And Arjun said, this is Bhimsen's Gada, this is Nakul Sahadev's, swords, Yudhishthir Maharaj's, and then his own, Arjun's Gandiva, all that. So then Bhuminjaya got a question. If these are the weapons of the Pandavas, then where are the Pandavas? Where are they? And where is Draupadi? Then Arjun revealed, I am Arjun and that is Yudhishthir. And then when this Bhuminjaya thought, of course it makes sense. That Vallabha couldn't have been anyone else other than Bhimsen, like that. He said, but still, I still have some doubt. If you're really Arjun, can you tell me the 10 names of Arjun? And immediately, of course, Arjun's name, he told. Now he was convinced. And he was so happy. He literally fell down in Dandavat obeisances at the feet of Arjun. Arjun is here, right? The great hero. So then, now they went. And then Arjun, after getting on so he tied up his hair because he had this long braid. Also, how Arjun dared to reveal his identity because uh, they had calculated, Yudhishthir Maharaj had calculated that that day was the end of their Agyatvas. Their Agyatvas had ended. So they could actually now come out. Hmm. So Arjun just tied back his hair and then, he tied his cloth and now he picked up his Gandiva and he just twanged the string, tied the Gandiva over and twanged. And the sound that came from the Gandiva literally shattered the hearts of all the Kauravas. Everyone recognized it as Arjun's Gandiva. Now there was no doubt that it was Arjun. And also, when Arjun prayed to all the celestial weapons that he had received, and they all appeared in his mind. And they first appeared and they said, how may we serve you? So Arjun said, stay in my mind. Hmm? And when I need you, then please come to me, like that. So they all came and a flag, right, dropped from the sky with Hanuman on it. So this was Arjun's flag. So he removed Bhuminjaya's flag. I think it had a lion or something on it. And Arjun hoisted his flag. So now it was obvious. Arjun's flag, Arjun's Gandiva, and now he blows his conch. Everyone recognized his conch. And he blew it. When he blew the conch, the horses of Bhuminjaya, they fell on their knees, and Bhuminjaya fell off from his chariot. He fell off to the ground. So then Arjun said, "You're a warrior. You're a kshatriya. How is it that you're getting scared of the sound of the conch and of the bow? You must have fought in battles." Bhuminjaya said, "Yes, I have fought in many battles, but none like this before." Hmm? So then uh, this time, so Arjun warned, "I'm going to blow again, so you be steady this time." And he blew his conch one more time. And then with great difficulty, Bhuminjaya, held his position, and then now they were ready for battle. So we are going to read now what happens when the battle begins. And before he started, Arjun shot two arrows with his Gandiva at the feet of Dronacharya, obeisances. So Dronacharya said, "There's no doubt that this is Arjun. He's seeking my blessings. But remember, all of you, Kaurava warriors, the next arrows are not going to be seeking blessings. They are going to come to pierce us. So all of you be alert." One more thing, when Arjun got his Gandiva, he also had two inexhaustible quivers of arrows. So that also he got. And he told Bhuminjaya that these arrows will never be finished. Like he saw such sharp arrows, Bhuminjaya saw shiny, and Arjun said, "These quivers will never be emptied. How many ever times I shoot, they will always be full." So let's see what happened after that. So the battle begins. The battle at Virata. In his chariot, only one second. Okay. In his chariot, only half a mile from the Kurus, Arjun instructed the prince to halt while he established the enemy's position. This is also Arjun's, I think, style. Even before Bhagavad Gita, we see, before he started, he wanted to gauge, estimate the enemy, right? What is their power and who are here, like that. So he instructed the prince to halt while he established the enemy's position. Bhuminjaya gazed in amazement at the army before them. "Who are these heroes who resemble mountains in the midst of a mighty ocean?" he asked. "The one with the emblem of a golden water pot on his flagstaff is Drona," Arjun replied. "I always worship him. You should circumambulate his chariot, and I will strike him only if he first attacks me, for such is the duty of Kshatriyas. Because he's my martial guru. I cannot, even though we are on the battlefield, he's on the enemy side, because he's my guru, I will not shoot him first. I will not even fight with him unless he shoots first. This is the duty of Kshatriyas. So when we go, also you should circumambulate him. That means me. I am the disciple, I am circumambulating my guru. Like that. Arjun pointed to each of the leading chariots. The great, the hero clad in a coat of mail, sorry, the hero clad in a coat of tiger skin,
drawn by red horses, is Kripa. So Kripa is wearing clothes made of tiger skin. Today I will show him how light I can be in the use of weapons. By his side, the warrior whose flag bears the sign of a bow is Ashwathama. He is my preceptor's son. Thus, he too is worthy of my respect. The one clad in golden mail, whose emblem is a serpent against a gold background, that is Duryodhan. So, what is Duryodhan's flag? What is his emblem? A serpent. Uh, what is Dronacharya's? A water pot. Okay. Okay. Ashwatthama had a bow on his flag. So he said, Ashwatthama is also worthy of my respect, and the emblem of a serpent, that is Duryodhan. He always bears the Pandavas' ill will. Immediately behind him is a hero blazing like fire with the emblem of a strong rope for binding elephants. That is the wicked minded Karna. What is Karna's emblem? A rope for binding elephants. Be careful when you approach him, for he always challenges me to fight. Arjun pointed toward the chariot which stood just behind the four he had already named. Who are the four he named? Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Ashwatthama, and Karna. Just behind these four, Arjun pointed toward a chariot. This great hero, whose flag is blue and emblazoned with a golden palmyra and 5 stars, a palm tree with 5 stars, and who is shielded by a white umbrella, is Shantanu's son Bhishma, our grandfather. Always treated with regal honor by the Kauravas, he follows Duryodhan. You should approach him last, for he will never harm me. After observing the army for some time, Arjun told the prince to advance. As they moved off, he saw Duryodhan detach himself. One more thing I forgot to tell you. So when the Kauravas, they decided means they determined that this is Arjun. So now they had to make a strategy of battle. So was it Dronacharya or Bhishma Dev who suggested that who? Bhishma Dev. So Bhishma Dev said that Duryodhan, you should take the cows and a small portion of the army, right? A small piece of the army, and you should take the cows away. And meanwhile, we will fight with Arjun. That was the plan. So that's what is happening here. So Arjun is showing who is who. Duryodhan was also on the battlefield. He's showing everyone. And all of a sudden, what happened? After observing the army for some time, Arjun told the prince to advance. As they moved off, he saw Duryodhan detach himself from the army and move toward the south, followed by half the troops. Arjun ordered Bhuminjaya to follow him. I will engage with Duryodhan, isn't it? He said, I won't fight with Dronacharya unless he shoots. And he said, go to Bhishma Dev last because he won't kill me, like that. Just be careful of Karna because he always wants to attack me. So Duryodhan is going away. Let's follow Duryodhan. I will engage with Duryodhan, for if he is overpowered, then our purpose will be accomplished, isn't it? He is the king. Of course, Dhritarashtra is the king. Now he's the representative. So Duryodhan is the king. So if we capture Duryodhan, then our purpose is accomplished. What is their purpose? To release the cows. So I will engage with Duryodhan, for if he is overpowered, then our purpose will be accomplished. Arjun then sent arrows toward his 3 elders. Who are the 3 elders? Kripacharya, Dronacharya, and Bhishmadev, who faced him on the battlefield. Kripa, observing Arjun's chariot change direction, immediately understood his intention. Quickly, move to intercept the Pandava, he shouted. What will we do with the Matsya's vast wealth if Duryodhan were to sink like a whole boat in the Partha water? So Arjun is like a water, and Duryodhan is like a boat with a hole. So he will sink into the water called Arjun. That means Arjun will completely, defeat Duryodhan and overpower him. So let's go and save Duryodhan. What will we do with the whole of Virata kingdom if Duryodhan is lost? Arjun released hundreds of thousands of arrows, and they covered the Kuru forces like a swarm of locusts, right? Like so many insects, insects, they come in millions. Like that, Arjun's arrows were coming, so many of them, like a swarm of locusts, covering the whole Kuru army. The warriors could not see anything and they became confused, being unable even to flee. They were covered with so many arrows they couldn't even run away. They praised Arjun's prowess. The earth and sky resounded with the twang of the Gandiva and the blast of Arjun's conch shell. Virata's son maneuvered the chariot dexterously and cut off Duryodhan. Yeah, so he went in front of Duryodhan. Yeah, also one more thing. This Bhuminjaya told Arjun, Arjun asked, do you know how to drive the chariot? So then Bhuminjaya said, I'm very expert in driving chariot, like that. I'm like Krishna, no, Daruka, Krishna's chariot driver, he said. So he was quite expert. So he went and he cut off Duryodhan, preventing him from escaping with the cows. As Arjun closed upon Duryodhan, the cows began to run back toward the city. Duryodhan was taking them away from the city. Bhuminjaya went in front of Duryodhan, stopped Duryodhan, And when Duryodhan was stopped and engaged by Arjun, all the cows, they ran back to the city of Virata. Duryodhan quickly came back to the side of the other Kuru leaders. Instead of fighting alone with Arjun, what did he do? He went and joined the other Kuru leaders. After saving the Matsya cows, Arjun said, Leave us. No, sorry. Let us leave the cowardly Duryodhan for now. He has fled for his life. I know the wretched Karna desires to fight with me, even as one elephant fights with another. Seek him out, O prince, and I will curb his pride. He has grown insolent due to the protection Duryodhan has afforded him. The prince swung the chariot around, right? Around, and raced into the center of the battlefield from where he could see all the leading Kurus. Four of Duryodhan's brothers came forward and confronted Arjun. They sent their arrows toward him in steady waves, but Bhuminjaya avoided the falling shafts by his skillful driving. At the same time, Arjun shot his own blazing arrows, which covered the Kaurava chariots. The Pandava, remembering Bhima's vow to kill all of Dhritarashtra's sons, avoided slaying any of them. So four of Duryodhan's brothers came. Arjun could have killed them, but he didn't kill because that would violate Bhimsen's vow. He had taken a vow to kill all 100 sons. So if Arjun killed them, Bhimsen wouldn't be able to keep his vow. So he didn't kill. Other mighty warriors rushed at Arjun, roaring and releasing showers of weapons. One, a king named Shatruntapa. Shatruntapa means one who is very, um, right? One who gives distress to the enemy. Shatruntapa. One, a king named Shatruntapa, assailed him with such force that he checked the movement of his chariot. Shatruntapa checked Arjun's movement. Arjun's chariot's movement. Arjun disappeared beneath a hail of arrows as Shatruntapa fought with fury. Wounded by the assault, Arjun blazed up in anger. He drew the Gandiva back to his ear and fired 5 deadly arrows that killed Shatruntapa's 4 horses and his charioteer. With 10 more straight flying shafts, he tore off the king's armor. First he killed the horses, his chariot driver, then the armor is also tore off, along with his arms and head. Then his arms and his head, right? He's dead. Shatruntapa fell to the earth like a mountain peak struck down by a thunderbolt. Arjun turned toward the other Kuru fighters who were closing in on him. He seemed to be dancing in his chariot as he released his gold plumed arrows. Right? He was working and so beautifully also. Right? He was so swift. It appeared as if Arjun was dancing on his chariot the way he was releasing his arrows. Long lines of shafts were seen to fly from Arjun in all directions. Right? You couldn't. There was no gap between 2 arrows, one behind the other. It was as if long lines, and not just in one direction, in all directions. Right? Like sun. There were arrows going in all directions in continuous lines from Arjun's bow. The battlefield presented a dreadful scene. And what happened after these arrows were released? Arjun never missed his target. When he released an arrow, nothing went in, vain. It went and hit the target exactly where he wanted. So many arrows were being released means so many warriors were getting hit and killed. So the battlefield presented a dreadful scene with the mangled bodies of warriors and animals strewn about. Elephants screamed and horses whinnied in terror. Mind you, this is just one Arjun fighting, one Arjun. Huh? The roars of the fighters and the blasts of conch shells and trumpets added to the clamor. Above all these sounds rose Hanuman's terrible cries from Arjun's standard. As Arjun's chariot approached Karna, Arjun was attacked by Karna's brother. Arjun at once killed his horses and with a crescent tipped arrow beheaded the warrior right in front of Karna. Seeing his brother fall like a palm tree cut at its root, Karna was infuriated. He rushed at the Pandava with a great shout. With 12 arrows, he wounded both Arjun and Bhuminjaya, as well as all of his horses. Arjun assailed Karna with full force, like Garuda falling upon a serpent. The other Kurus, seeing an encounter about to take place between the two heroes, stood back to watch. Now it became like like a tournament. So everyone else stopped fighting. Earlier, everyone was shooting arrows at Arjun. Now everyone stopped because there's a duel going on between Arjun and Karna. They just stopped to watch. Arjun sent a thick shower of arrows toward Karna, but Karna baffled the shafts with his own. He counter-attacked Arjun with thousands of arrows. With his bright armor and see, Karna still has, does he? He doesn't have, right? He gave already the armor. So this is his, not part of his body, but nevertheless, his dazzling armor. So with his bright armor and flashing steel arrows, Karna seemed like a fire sending forth showers of sparks. Seeing Karna holding Arjun off, the other Kuru fighters cheered him on. They clapped their hands and blew their conches. Arjun could not tolerate hearing such praise, and he fought with redoubled strength. Both combatants sent hundreds of thousands of arrows at each other. To those watching it seemed like the sun and moon were contending behind black clouds. What are the black clouds? The hundreds and thousands of arrows. And who is behind the clouds? On one side is Karna, I guess he's the sun because he's Surya Putra, and the other side is the moon. So sun and moon fighting from behind the clouds. That's how it appeared to the onlookers. Karna repeatedly attempted to kill Arjun's horses and charioteer, but the Pandava checked Karna's arrows with his own every time. The two fighters fired arrows with blinding speed, their hands hardly visible as they worked their bows. I mean, this is unimaginable for us, but we'll just read it, right? So they're shooting arrows with blinding speed. What would that mean, right? You cannot see when they're taking the arrow, when they're placing it, and when they're releasing. There's a continuous chain. So both of them were very expert. So the two fighters fired arrows with blinding speed, their hands hardly visible as they worked their bows. These are Kshatriyas, not just shooting some guns or cannons. That's not a Kshatriya. Kshatriya, see, on his strength, he's fighting not with one but with thousands. All types of warriors he's fighting. This is a Kshatriya. This is the spirit of a Kshatriya. So Karna sent a non-stop stream of shafts that resembled the sun's arrows shining on the earth. Gradually, however, Arjun gained an edge over his opponent. While checking Karna's arrows, he began to pierce him all over his body. So on one side, he is countering Karna's arrows, but simultaneously, he's managing to find the weak spots of Karna and he's piercing his body while simultaneously countering. While checking Karna's arrows, he began to pierce him all over his body with fleet arrows. He wounded Karna in the arms, thighs, breast, and head. Without his natural coat of impenetrable armor, Karna was hurt badly by Arjun's attack. Finally, he turned away from the fight and fled like one elephant defeated by another. So Karna actually retreated. When Karna retreated, the other Kurus headed by Duryodhan came to attack Arjun. They were all standing and watching until now. But when Karna left, then the others came. Duryodhan came. Without flagging, Arjun cheerfully met their attack. He displayed various celestial weapons and filled the entire sky with arrows. No part of the battlefield occupied by the Kurus was visible. What did Arjun do? He filled the entire sky with arrows. As a result, no part of the battlefield occupied by the Kurus was visible as Arjun's arrows rained down. It was impossible to even look at the Pandava in his anger. He seemed like the fire at the end of the cosmic manifestation. As Arjun fought like a superhuman being, he created havoc among his foes. His arrows only fell where they were aimed, and his bow was always bent into a circle. So sometimes, a bow, so you have to pull it, right? And it becomes a semicircle, a bigger. But Arjun's bow was like he would pull it fully. So that bow became a full circle. And it remained in that position constantly. He's releasing the arrows. So his bow remained in the shape of a circle all the time. So it was always bent into a circle. The Kuru army fell back in terror, the soldiers worshipping Arjun in their minds. So the enemy soldiers who were attacked by Arjun, they were worshipping Arjun in their minds and they were experiencing terror in their hearts. Horses and elephants that were not slain ran in all directions. Smashed chariots lay everywhere, with the bodies of their drivers and warriors lying prostrate nearby. In the sky, the gods, Gandharvas, Siddhas, and Rishis assembled to watch Arjun fight. The fragrance of their celestial garlands spread across the battlefield as if the trees had blossomed in spring. All of a sudden, right? Everyone smells the celestial parijata flower aroma in the battlefield. Their clothes, ornaments, and shining conveyances lit up the region with a brilliant luster. The sky was ablaze. It was beautiful to behold. In the midst of all the celestials stood Indra, looking with affection at his son. Arjun looked around at the routed army and saw Drona. Feeling affection for his teacher, he ordered Virata's son to drive the chariot toward him. O Prince, Drona is always worthy of my worship. In intelligence, he resembles Shukra, the guru of the demons, and in his knowledge of morality, he is no less than Brihaspati. He has studied all the Vedas, and the science of archery resides within him. That means he's like personified science of archery. He is always ornamented by forgiveness, self control, truthfulness, and compassion. I desire to fight with him. I desire to fight with him. So advance with caution. Now, if you remember, after Arjun had taken Drupada captive and Dronacharya got half of Drupada's kingdom, and after that they were going back, Dronacharya asked something of Arjun for, as Guru Dakshina. He said, "You have already given me Guru Dakshina, but I want to ask you something else. When you face me in battle, you should not hesitate to shoot arrows at me. You should fight with me with full force, like you fight with an enemy." And Arjun was surprised that Dronacharya said that because why would Arjun be standing in a battlefield against his guru? But nevertheless, because his guru said that, he said, "Yes, I will do it." So now we see Arjun told Bhuminjaya, "Go towards Dronacharya." And what did he say? "I desire to fight with him, so advance with caution." The prince urged on the horses, and Arjun blew his conch. Drona saw him coming and took out his own conch, giving it a mighty blast. The conches sounded together like 1,000 trumpets. Drona's red horses rose up and drew his chariot quickly forward. Seeing his preceptor approach, Arjun was joyful. Placing his bow by his side, he called out, "O gentle one, we have completed our term of exile in the forest and now wish to exact our revenge. You should not be angry with us, O irrepressible hero. I will not strike you unless you attack first." Drona smiled at his favorite disciple. Without replying, he raised his gold plated bow and discharged more than 20 shafts. So that was his answer. Arjun said, "I will not attack you unless you shoot." So Dronacharya smiled and he shot arrows at Arjun. "Come on, start fighting," like that. Arjun instantly raised his own bow and countered his arrows with astonishing speed. Drona covered Arjun's chariot on all sides with thousands of arrows. Bhuminja swiftly turned the chariot and dropped away from Drona as Arjun dexterously cut down his arrows. Both fighters invoked celestial weapons and spread a network of arrows that amazed the watching Kuru soldiers. Other weapons began to appear on the battlefield as the two combatants chanted mantras sacred to various deities. So celestial weapons were appearing. Firebrands and blazing discuses were hurled from Drona's bow, but Arjun struck them all down. He sent an even greater number of long shafted arrows toward his preceptor. Drona smiling all the while. He's feeling so proud. Whatever Arjun is doing, he's my disciple. I trained him, right? Like a father. So Drona smiling all the while cut down all those arrows in mid flight. The Kurus cheered again and again as they witnessed the promise of both Guru and disciple, and they wondered at the harshness of a Kshatriya's duty. Right? There's so much affection, so much love between the guru and disciple, but as Kshatriya on the battlefield, it is the duty to fight, and you fight to kill, actually, right? When is the war, uh, when does it come to an end? When one of them is killed. This is the duty of a Kshatriya. So they wondered at the harshness of a Kshatriya's duty that impelled the two to fight one another. Even as he fought with Drona, Arjun kept up his attack on the Kuru army. Now, Arjun is one. So he's fighting with Dronacharya and the others are also attacking him. So he's simultaneously fighting with the soldiers, with the Kuru army, and he's also keeping Dronacharya engaged. His arrows descended on them like lightning bolts. As the fierce razor-headed shafts struck horses, elephants, and soldiers, they made a sound resembling a hard downpour of hailstones. The battlefield was strewn with arms, still clutching weapons. So people's arms were getting cut, heads were getting cut, and arms were still holding their weapons, either swords or maces or spears, and still the arms were cut off with the weapons still in the hand. The battlefield was strewn with arms still clutching weapons and heads adorned with helmets. Golden armor and pieces of shattered chariots littered the ground. The screams of terrified soldiers filled the air as Arjun maintained his assault. Feeling affection for his disciple, Drona displayed only some of his power. He held off Arjun's attack on himself and sent a barrage of golden feathered arrows back at him. His shafts traveled toward Arjun in rows, their feathers touching. Arjun responded by releasing so many arrows that Drona and his chariot became invisible. Those observing Arjun could not discern any interval between his taking up arrows, placing them on his bow, and then firing them. Even Indra, watching from the heavens, was wonderstruck. Drona was totally enveloped in a thick mass of arrows that fell continuously upon him. Seeing this, the Kurus cried out, "Alas!" Yeah, they couldn't see Dronacharya. He was completely covered by Arjun's arrows. Ashwatthama was infuriated and he rushed at Arjun, bellowing out a challenge. The Pandava turned toward him and offered Drona a chance to retreat. Ashwatthama, highly skilled in battle, sent an arrow that cut Arjun's ever twanging bowstring. So, what did Ashwatthama do? He shot an arrow to cut Arjun's bowstring. The deities in the sky, beholding this superhuman feat, exclaimed, "Well done! Bravo!" Ashwatthama succeeded in wounding Arjun with a number of sharp pointed shafts decked with kanka feathers. Arjun laughed and restrung his bow. A furious fight ensued between the disciple and the son of Drona, which made the hairs of the heroes who were watching stand erect. It resembled a clash between two maddened elephants. They struck one another with burning arrows that looked like serpents. Arrows looked like serpents, hissing through the air. But Ashwatthama's arrows quickly became exhausted as Arjun fought on, his own supply being inexhaustible by the fire god's boon. As Ashwatthama withdrew from the fight, Karna returned and twanged his bowstring with a crash like thunder. Arjun gazed at him with coppery red eyes. Hoping to kill him, he fired thousands of arrows in his direction. He then called out, "O Karna, the time has come for you to make good your boastful words. Many times have you vainly stated that there are none to equal you in battle. Fighting with me today, you will know your own strength and will never again disregard others. Without ever considering piety, you have given vent to many harsh words. Try your best to make good those insults you offered me in the assembly. You cannot defeat me. Now reap the fruit of your insult to Draupadi. Only virtue restrained me that day from exacting a terrible vengeance. Today you will feel the force of my restrained anger, held in check these last 13 years. Fight, O sinful one, and let all the Kurus watch as you perish." Wow. Karna sneered. "Prove yourself in battle, Partha. The world knows that your words exceed your deeds. As a result of your weakness and inability, the Kauravas have forced you to suffer. Do not bother to make excuses. Now we will all see your power when I strike you with my irresistible weapons. Even if Indra himself came to fight on your behalf, you would not escape. Arjun was derisive. You have always fled from me. That's a fact. Just a few minutes ago, he had fled. You have always fled from me, and thus you still live to utter these empty words. Even today, when you saw your brother slain, you fled. What power were you showing then? Bending the Gandiva into a semicircle, Arjun quickly fired dozens of armor piercing arrows. Dozens of armor piercing arrows. That means that were going with such speed, such powerful shots, right? The arrows would directly go and pierce the armor that shone like fire. Karna delightedly received those shafts with his own, intercepting everyone. Again, a network of arrows spread out between the two fighters. Karna released searing shafts with unerring accuracy and pierced Arjun's arms and legs. Unable to tolerate the attack, Arjun cut Karna's bowstring with a crescent headed arrow. Arjun cut Karna's bowstring. Okay. Karna replied with a number of arrows that made Arjun lose hold of the Gandiva. Quickly regaining his composure, Arjun sent razor-headed shafts at Karna which cut his bow to pieces. Karna took up a fresh bow and released a fierce steel arrow resembling a lance, but Arjun struck it down even as it left Karna's bow. Right at the beginning, where it left the bow, there itself Arjun cut it off. 5 or 6 powerful fighters came up to support Karna, but Arjun slew them all. The Pandava drew his bow back to his ear and fired 4 steel shafts that killed Karna's horses. With another powerful arrow, he struck Karna on the breast, making a sound like an explosion. The arrow pierced Karna's armor and penetrated into his body. He lost consciousness and fell sideways in his chariot. So Karna fainted. Whereupon he was quickly taken onto another chariot by his charioteer and carried away because the horses were killed. The chariot couldn't move. Arjun and Bhuminjaya scoffed at the defeated Karna. Arjun then looked around and said, "Take me to the place where you see the emblem of the golden palmyra." Who's that? Bhishmadev. "There stands our grandfather, Shantanu's son, looking like an immortal. He too desires to fight with me." Bhuminjaya was exhausted. Gasping for breath, he replied, "I do not think I can continue guiding your horses. My mind is confounded and my limbs are weak. It seems as if the 4 quarters are melting from the power of the celestial weapons you and the Kurus have released." Right? It's so hot. Looks like the whole universe is melting by the heat of your weapons, yours and theirs also. I am beside myself with the sight and the smell of flesh and blood. I have never before seen such a battle. The clamor has deafened me, and I feel stupefied. The twang of the Gandiva, like repeated thunderclaps, and your lightning bolt arrows have rent my heart. Uh, Yeah. Mm. I'm consumed by fear. It appears as if the earth is shifting before my eyes, and I am losing my vitality. Arjun consoled the prince. You are a prince in the Matsya line. It is your sacred duty to face the enemy in battle. Take heart, for you will find strength in the supreme power. The Lord is always pleased when we perform our prescribed duties with firmness and determination. Guide the horses for only a while longer. I wish to face the grandsire in battle. The prince felt heartened and he urged the steeds forward. As the chariot moved across the battlefield toward Bhishma's chariot, Arjun continued, "The battle will not last much longer. The Kuru army is reeling like a wheel under the force of my weapons. I will make a river flow toward the other world with blood for its waters, chariots for its eddies, and elephants for its aquatics. The forest, the Kuru forest, with heads, arms, and tall backs for its branches, will be cut down. I have obtained all the celestial weapons from the gods. Do not fear, O prince, for I will rout the Kurus and put them to flight." When Arjun got within striking distance of Bhishma, he sent a hail of shafts at him. Bhishma patiently countered his arrows, and 4 of Duryodhan's brothers came forward to protect him. Dushasan launched a fierce attack on Arjun. He wounded Bhuminjaya with a large dart and pierced Arjun's breast with another. Dushasan. Arjuna at once sent golden winged arrows which cut Dushasan's bow to pieces and severely wounded him in the chest. Dushasan retreated, leaving his three brothers to fight with Arjun. Each of them were similarly injured and had to retreat. At Bhishma's command, thousands of Kuru troops surrounded Arjun and assailed him. The Pandava spun around in his chariot with his bow constantly drawn to a circle. So when he's shooting in different direction, he has to turn around. So he's just spinning around, shooting arrows. He's spinning around, standing on his chariot. Sometimes he shot with his left and sometimes his right arm. That's why he's called Savyasachi, right? He's equally adept at shooting with both hands, either left or right, no problem. Sometimes he shot with his left and sometimes his right. Sometimes some people are able to write with both hands. But even when they're able to write with both hands, one is more strong, one is powerful, and the other one is not as powerful. That's what I've observed. But Arjun was equally strong, and that too in shooting arrows, both left and right. I think sometimes playing mridanga also, right? Sometimes you can play left and right, but still your stronger side is one, either left or right. And then you can also manage with the other one. Sometimes, not always. So Arjun was shooting with both hands. Sometimes he shot with his left, sometimes his right arm. Blazing arrows went in all directions, and the Kuru force was torn apart. Arjun appeared in battle like the scorching midday sun with its unbearable rays. Kuru heroes leaped down from their cars and fled. They were running away. Not just soldiers, they were getting off their chariots, jumping down from their chariots and running away. So these are chariot warriors, throwing aside their weapons. Kshatriyas normally they don't run, right? But this was Arjun was so unbearable. His attack was so unbearable that it caused terror in them that they couldn't stand there anymore. They dropped their weapons. They started running for their life, jumping off the chariots. Horsemen turned and drove their horses away in terror. The Kurus retreated with difficulty, falling over the bodies of men, elephants, and horses. And while they were running back, they were falling down, tripping over dead bodies and weapons. Duryodhan, Karna, Kripa, Drona, and Ashwatthama then rushed toward Arjun together. They covered him with so many arrows that no part of his body was visible. Even amid that onslaught, Arjun maintained his calm and invoked the Aindrastra. Aindra Astra. Aindra is coming from Indra. Aindrastra. Summoning the fire god's invincible power. Aindrastra. So this is the fire god's invincible power. That weapon sent hundreds of thousands of flaming arrows and darts at the Kurus and drove them back because all of them attacked at a time. So Arjun is using his celestial weapons. So simultaneously, so many arrows are released by using that astra. So it drove back all the Kurus. Arjun then saw Bhishma standing before him on his chariot. Ganga's son was smiling. In his shining coat of mail, he shone like a white mountain at sunrise. He lifted his gold-plated bow and fired a dozen arrows, which struck the roaring monkey on Arjun's banner. He struck Hanumanji on Arjun's banner. Pushing aside the affection he felt for the old Kuru leader, Arjun sent a huge dart which broke down the white umbrella over his head. He quickly followed it with arrows that severed his flagstaff and killed the two warriors protecting his flanks. Arjun wounded Bhishma's horses and brought his chariot to a halt. Bhishma became angry and he began to invoke divine weapons. A massive hail of arrows, darts, and spears fell, blazing from the sky. So the weapons were falling from the sky as a result of Bhishma Dev's invoking celestial weapons. Arjun instantly checked his attack with his own celestial missiles. He counterattacked Bhishma with volumes of arrows that sped toward him. Bhishma received Arjun's assault like a hill receiving a cloud. He dexterously cut down all the arrows as they flew, and they fell to pieces on the ground. The battle between Arjun and Bhishma raged fiercely for some time as the Kurus watched in amazement. It seemed as if Indra were contending with Bali? Bali. Is that? No, Bali Maharaj, the Asura king. Okay. Indra and Bali Maharaj, they fight. So it seemed, whose fight is this? Arjun and Bhishma's fight. It resembled the fight between Indra and Bali Maharaj, the Asura king. Neither side paused in the fight. Arjun's Gandiva had become a circle of fire, and Bhishma danced on his chariot like a youth. Finally, Arjun succeeded in baffling Bhishma with a weapon that sent an uncountable number of golden winged arrows in repeated waves. Bhishma fell back in his chariot, and seeing his opportunity, Arjun severed his bow with a razor faced arrow. He cut off Bhishma Dev's bow. Immediately after that, he shot 10 steel shafts with heads shaped like calves' teeth. Those deadly arrows pierced Bhishma's breast. The Kuru chief was stunned, and he stood leaning on the pole of his chariot for some time. Seeing him senseless, his charioteer turned the chariot and carried him away. Most of the Kuru army had been overpowered, and if not slain, had fled. Only a few of their heroes still stood on the battlefield. Duryodhan, burning with anger and humiliation, brought his chariot before Arjun. He threw a golden dart that struck Arjun on the forehead. Blood gushed from his wound, and the son of Kunti looked like a mountain, giving forth a stream of red lava. Arjun struck Duryodhan with arrows that stung like poisonous snakes. The two cousins fought furiously, using all their martial skill. Duryodhan's brother Vikarna came to support him on an elephant. Vikarna. He drove the beast toward Arjun's chariot. He drove his elephant towards Arjun's chariot, intending to crush him underfoot. But Arjun bent the Gandiva into a full circle and fired an iron arrow that hit the elephant on the forehead. The arrow penetrated the elephant's head up to the feathers. That means it's a long arrow, the feathers are at the tail end. So this arrow went inside the forehead all the way inside, pierced inside. You could just see the feathers at the end. The entire arrow went inside in the elephant's forehead. The arrow penetrated the elephant's head up to the feathers, and the beast fell screaming to the ground. Vikarna, leaped clear and terrified, ran a full 800 paces to his brother Vivingsati's chariot. So Isha, Vikarna is the maid son. Dhritarashtra's maid son is Vikarna or Yuyutsu. Yuyutsu, right? You're not listening. Okay. Arjun released a similar arrow that struck Duryodhan full on the chest. Arjun released a similar arrow. So the arrow that he released on the elephant, he released a similar arrow that struck Duryodhan full on the chest. So same arrow on Duryodhan. The Kaurava prince fell to his knees and vomited blood. His shining armor bent and pierced. Seeing himself standing alone against Arjun, Duryodhan ordered his charioteer to retreat. Arjun laughed and called after him, "Why do you flee, O hero? How are you renouncing your fame and glory? Why are your trumpets not blown in the same way as they were when you first left Hastinapur? Know me to be Yudhishthir's obedient servant and Kunti's third son. Remembering the conduct of kings, turn back and show me your face, O mighty armed one." Duryodhan and his brothers continued to flee. At least, we saw in the earlier when Susharma was fighting, when he was also fleeing, Susharma was fleeing. But when Bhimsen challenged him, what kind of a Kshatriya you are, like a coward, you're running, he turned back and he came to fight. But here, when Arjun said, "Fight like a Kshatriya, why you're fleeing?" they didn't stop, they just kept running, fleeing. Duryodhana and his brothers continued to flee. They completely abandoned their attempts to steal the Matsya's wealth. They forgot about conquering the Matsya kingdom. Remembering his promise to the Matsya ladies, Arjun went around the battlefield. So they were running now. They were retreating, going back. But Arjun went because he needed the clothes, right? So he went around uh, the battlefield and took the costly robes from the fallen Kuru warriors. Acha, he let those leaders go. So the fallen Kurus, he took the robes of the fallen Kuru warriors. As they made their way back to the city, Arjun said to Bhuminjaya, "You are the only person who is aware of my true identity, at least in Virata. It may be wise to keep this information secret for a little while longer. You should tell your father that it was you who routed the Kurus." Arjun wanted to wait for Yudhishthir to decide the exact moment for them to reveal their identities. Understanding this, Bhuminja replied, "I would not have had the power to achieve what you have achieved today, O Savyasachin, but I will not disclose your identity until you give me your permission." Arjun had the prince take the chariot back to the cremation ground. When they arrived, Arjun folded his palms toward Hanuman on his banner. The monkey flew up into the sky and vanished, and Arjun hoisted the prince's lion banner again. He replaced his weapons in the bundle high in the Sami tree. Then, taking his place as the chariot driver, they headed back toward the city. So, the next chapter is out of exile. So, their exile is over. But still, it's not, the exile is over, but the battle is not yet going to start. We have, I think, about 9 more uh, chapters before the battle of Kurukshetra begins. So, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.